hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back with 22 books 2022, and so this was interesting. Now I love retelling of historical stories, okay, you know, the classics, like, you know, the Jane Austens, the Brontes, so, and I love, you know, twisted adaptations, okay, so this was interesting. Now I know my Jane Eyre, it's one of my favourite classical books, okay, by Charlotte Bronte, and this is a dirty retelling of the story. That's the only polite way to put it. Jane Eyre Laid Bare, the classic novel with an erotic twist. Okay, so, right, I read the bluff. When an eager and curious Jane Eyre arrives at Thornfield Hall, her sexual desires are instantly awakened. Who is the enigmatic Rochester who she instantly feels attracted to? What are the strange and yet captivating noises coming from the attic, and why does the very air she breathes feel heavy with passion? One thing is certain, Jane Eyre may have arrived at Thornfield, an unfulfilled and tentative woman, but will leave a very different person. Now, it kind of bypasses her time at Lowood, okay? That was the institution she was sent to after she had a screaming hissy fit at her aunt. And while she was there, now it's also very, very interesting as well, because even though, okay, that she is right there kind of pure, she still is very, very aware of her own body, okay? This kind of interspenses the original Bronte text, okay, with something very, very different, okay? Right. Okay? On the contrary, I wished to look as well as I could, and to please as much as my want of beauty would permit. Sometimes regretted that I was not handsomer, and sometimes wished to have rosy cheeks, a straight nose, and a small cherry mouth. I desired to be tall, stately, and free developing figure, with the kind of buxom body that Emma so proudly possessed. I felt a misfortune that I was so pale, and the features so irregular and so marked, that my body had been held in, high regard at Lowood by the other girls. While she was at Lowood, while she was growing up, now Bessie is mentioned, okay, because her and Bessie, they cuddled together and they kind of explored each other. However, Emma, who was at the institution, went further with, okay. So this is a Jane Eyre who is aware of herself, if you will, okay. So, and then she meets Rochester, and her desires, okay, are triggered. Her desires are triggered. And one thing I will give this book is very, very well written, okay. Basically, if you know the original book, you don't need to, but it's yeah, it's kind of good to know, okay. And she kind of falls to Rochester, as you do, but also there's this undercurrent of sexuality in the air, okay. A maid and a footman get it together, okay. Everyone is at it, and once Rochester gets there, everything goes from there to there. Even Adele. Now Adele was the ward, okay, of Rochester, who she is there to teach. Even the dialogue of Adele feels very, very a bit more, okay. You kind of wonder, okay, what kind of world was this child really thrown into before she came into Rochester's world. So yeah, there's that going in as well. There's various points, okay, which characters do stuff which kind of alludes to a higher thing. Like when she mentions Lowood, she wasn't pretty enough because the kind of head of that did unspeakable things to the girls. There's that coming, the kind of darkness of this world as well. It's not just like sexuality, okay, and there's also the darkness too. So I did like that. I like the fact that it kind of showed the harshness of this world, how these women were victims of this really depressive system, especially if they were pretty. So yeah, respect for that. That's her allusions to Lowood, but it was a miserable time for her as well, okay. Right, here you go. It's a bit here, it's a bit with Rochester, okay. This is when she's, you know, being Jane Eyre, okay. There's something single about you, he exclaimed. You have the air of a little nun. You're quaint, quiet, grave and simple. You sit with your hands before you and your eyes dimly bent on the carpet, okay? Except by the by when they're directly pierced into my face, or just now for instance. And when I ask you a question or makes a remark to which you're not obliged to reply, you wrap around reply that by which if not blunt, so you're obliged to reply to, you wrap out around reply, which, if not blunt, is at least brusque. What do you mean by it? Okay. So to Rochester, it's like he's kind of testing her. He's doing his thing. All the things, okay, that happen in the book happen, okay, but they're a bit more twisted. They're a bit more convoluted, more contrived, okay. And after spoilers here for Jane Eyre, but it's been out forever. After the fire, which the man woman in the attic, Bertha, says, instead of the kind of flirtation of saving Rochester's life, it's the kiss, okay? It's the kiss. Oh, reader, the kiss. How many poems, how many novels I had read, and yet none would ever come close to describing this feeling. So simple, so lauded and documented, yet so entirely new to me, and so different to how I imagined. I kissed Emma, of course, but not been anything like this. How can I compare a girl to a man? They were uncomparable, and I almost have at it there and then. Absolutely, there and then. And then it gets more twisted, okay, when the guests arrive. To Mary Ingram show up. Now this is a bit more twisted, okay, but okay, this bit here, right, this bit here, right. I was about to force myself away to turn away, reminding myself to mind my own business, when the girl in the blue dress kissed the girl of the sorry, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. But then the guests show up, okay? So, once again, 3, 2, 1. But then the not wanted guests show up, Blanche, May, Ingram, and in tow, okay? And this bit here, right? I was about to force myself to turn away, reminding myself to mind my own business, when the girl in the blue dress kissed the cheek of the girl in the yellow dress, who turns to the next kiss landed on her mouth. I stayed for a second, kissing in a way that made the heat rise unbidden in my cheeks. Right. As I watched this private moment of intimacy, I suddenly recalled how the girls at Lowood and how Emma and I had once kissed in such a way. But our exploratory kisses had seemed innocent and young, and yet these two eligible girls, okay, caressed one another in a way that seemed to suggest something altogether more knowing, okay? The sisters. Blanche May Ingram. Now, one thing I did not like about this book is obviously everything is from Jane's point of view, okay? And so this is, she uses the word she a lot, but at various times, okay, one thing it could be quite, because this is a house, okay, with lots of women in it at the present moment in time, is she, okay? Right, this is talking, okay, about Miss Ingram, okay, Miss Blanche Ingram, but fact is, goes calling her Miss Ingram when there's two Miss Ingrams. Now, I've read Jane Eyre. I know she's talking about Blanche Ingram, but it's this bit here, okay? Right, she's talking about Blanche. She was very showy, but she was not genuine. She had a fine person, many personal attainments. While she excelled at exhibitionism, her mind was poor and her heart barren by nature. She was not good, she was not original. Her repeated phrases from books I had read, passing them off as her own. She advocated a high tone of sentiment, but she did not know the sensations of sympathy and pity, tenderness and truth or not in her. Okay? And she's also a horrible to Adele. So, one thing I want a bit more, okay, about who is she? Who is she talking to? Sometimes I felt a little bit confusing in the text. Okay? Now, it may be Charlotte Bronte's original text, or it may be Eve Sinclair's. But too many talk, okay, about she. Okay? So, everyone thinks that Blanche and Rochester are going to get together. He puts out this rumour that he's not as rich as everyone thinks. They kind of pack the bags and leave the narrative. And then Jane goes off back to her family home because her aunt's dying. And cousins, one married well, the other one's taking the veil, and, you know, they're going to mention afterwards. Okay? And there's that crucial bit with Rochester and Jane. Now, I will give this book something, okay, from being well written. Really kind of catches the gothic narrative, okay? Right. And this is one of my famous lines, so I'm reading it out, okay? Right. Do you think I'm an automaton, a machine without feelings? Do you think I can bear to have my morsel of bread snapped to my lips and my drop of water, the drop of living water dashed in my cup? You think because I'm poor, obscure, plain and little, I'm soulless and heartless? You think wrong. I'm as soul as you and full as much heart. God has gifted me with such beauty and much wealth. Would have made it hard for you to leave me, as it is now for me to leave you. You chosen Miss Ingram, because she can give you all the sweet pleasures of the flesh, but all the time I've been waiting to give myself to you, if you would only have me. Now, half of that is half of that is Charlotte Bronte. The other half, Eve Sinclair. That works very, very well together. Okay. One thing is this: it combines the sentence structures in a way that makes it flow brilliantly. That is something I will give this book. Okay. So it gets to the point, okay, where Jane, this is how it all happens by a tree. Okay. They kind of pledge themselves to each other. Okay. By this point, Jane's experimented a lot more, okay, with sexuality, knows a lot more what she wants, and you know, she's had her sexual awakenings, including one scene involving a candle. I can't even say that out loud. But one thing is this. Now, throughout this, there is the mad woman in the attic, Bertha Mason. Now, she's from the typical story, especially if you read What's the Gas of Sea, it was pretty much an arranged marriage through Edmund, Rochester, and Bertha Mason. He called her Antoinette. And they got married. He found out she was mad. He locked her in the attic, and in the end, she burns the house down, quite literally. Okay. In this, now I was always wondering, how would you do the man in the attic? Because Edmund is going to marry Jane in a bigamous marriage, and then her brother, that's Bertha's brother, shows up to put a stop to all these shenanigans. This is how it's done. Now, this was meant to be a narrative fell apart. Now, whilst this going on, obviously, okay, Jane's had her sexual awakenings. She has gone all the way with Rochester. She's pledged herself to him. They've even had what they call a pagan wedding, okay, by the tree. She's getting all her fittings together. And then the crux moment. There's a lot of talk with Edmund, okay, about being a submissive. Do you know what a submissive is? And looking at books and images, okay, about what that is. You find out about Bertha, who has been in and out of the narrative, kind of being the man in the attic or the ghost in the corridor. Okay, right, to the attic. Right, this is Bertha in this text. Do you think you can escape me, Edward? She asked. She had a strange voice, a foreign exotic accent. Okay, she put the riding crop underneath his chin, forcing him to look at her. Her eyes flashed jealousy at him. She clicked her tongue in approval. Right. I was only going to travel with her for a while. Okay, Mr. Rochester said. He didn't sound like my Mr. Rochester. His voice had changed, but I saw that all his manliness had gone from him. And he was gone from him. I stood before the woman like an apologetic schoolboy. Right. Liar. No. I told you to train her, to strip her of her innocence, to make her pliant, and then to bring her to me so I may make set about education as well. Turning her gaze to me, her look felt like a stab to my stomach, so that the two of us might control you. So this entire thing wasn't Rochester being Rochester. It was Bertha in the attic who has made Rochester her submissive, and it was her idea for him to seduce Jane, okay, marry her because tranced by her innocence, and bring him into this kind of relationship. And that is when Jane decides she's done. Okay, there's more to this, okay, because yeah, that was when it kind of falls apart. Was when, now this entire thing now has kind of modern words running through it, but that's a little bit too modern, if you will. Okay, and it's the whole she's mad because she's in the attic. Is that why she's in the attic? Wouldn't it be a bit better for it was her choice to be in the attic, because she can control everything and just be left alone while she's controlling everything? It was her choice to be in the attic. No, he put her in. It made no sense to me, okay, for someone who is a submissive, okay, in a relationship as Rochester, to put this woman in the attic. If she had wanted to be, because he's a submissive, she's in control, okay, and she's had enough and she kind of leaves. That was when the book kind of fell apart. It's interesting to read, and I loved the style and sentence structure, but the ending was a failure. And it very, very do with what it knows, by the way, okay, Mills and Boone, but still. So, Jane Eyre laid bare, watched the novel with a twist. It's well written, but the ending fell apart, as you can imagine. Does not take away what I feel about the original Jane Eyre. It's a wonderful book. And Charlotte Bronte was a wonderful author. And I'm signing off here. 20 books 2022. Bye now.